Well, hello everyone and welcome in. My name is Rick Fearon and I'm so glad you're on here with us tonight. And we're coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And boy, we have been doing this, like I say, now for 17 years. We're not giving up now. We're moving forward. We're getting more and more people coming in and listening, and we really appreciate your presence. Friends, I have to tell you, it's so remarkably good to see all the people leaving the Watchtower right now. There's so many. They are in free fall. They are hemorrhaging. I don't know really how much further the Watchtower can go before they're totally dead. I believe they're already dead. They just haven't fallen over yet. But every single week I put the news together here. It's nothing but bad news about the Jehovah's Witnesses. Nothing positive. It's all negative, critical news about what that organization has been doing, specifically with child sex abuse. But it doesn't stop there. Also, nations, Norway, Belgium, Sweden, Japan, just to name a few, are coming down heavy on the Jehovah's Witnesses right now. They are really beginning to identify the Jehovah's Witnesses as a very dangerous and destructive organization. So, things are happening, friends. It's only a matter of time, and I think we're going to see some big problems. I'm really thinking here that so many of our friends and relatives that have been punished by this organization and have been still in even after we left, I believe they're seeing it. I believe they're seeing the handwriting on the wall, and it's only a matter of time that I believe they're going to be speaking to us. So let's start preparing for that. That's how close we are. I can just feel it, that this is going to start happening. I've got relatives and friends now that are speaking to me that haven't for years. So what's up with that? Is that just me? But also I'm getting reports coming into the 6 screens of families that are now reuniting. So I want you guys to think, as you lay in bed at night and you think about these things, ponder about how you're going to handle it when you get contacted by someone that's been shunning you for years. So that's the good news, and I believe that everyone listening to this broadcast tonight will be very happy to hear that. So anyways, what's going on this week in the Watchtower? Well, I have to tell you, lots going on. First of all, I want to start off with, today is Kentucky Derby Day, right? I believe it is. And of course, Kentucky Derby, that of course is one of the biggest sporting events in the world. Thousands and thousands of people. I think they get close to 1 million people, I think. I'm not sure, but it's one of the highest attended sporting events in the world. But the reason why I bring it up is, guess who was there this weekend? In fact, even before the Kentucky Derby ran, I guess today it was, they were there yesterday. I guess they were hanging around all week long as the crowds were coming in. The Jehovah's Witnesses were there. I'm going to put a picture up. You'll see it. There they are. Number of carts. In fact, reports coming in from Kentucky saying that on every corner, when you approach the stadium, on every corner, there's a cart. There's a Jehovah's Witness cart. And they're trying to get people's attention as they're walking toward the track. Now, some witnesses are displaying, they're basically displaying the same thing. They got the carts out there with the Watchtower magazines, and they're all standing there. I mean, nobody's really approaching them, but they're all standing there staring into space. I mean, they'd probably get more interest if they were advertising free frontal lobotomies than trying to advertise and push Watchtower literature. And, is it surprising that no one's really stopping and talking to them? I mean, let's face it. Who is going to stop and talk to the witnesses? These are people on their way to gamble, to drink, and to socialize. They're not interested in joining a crazy cult on their way into the stadium, but the witnesses are doing this. They're doing this a lot lately. They're setting up at major sporting events. Now, the Super Bowl, that was just a couple months ago, they were there as well. And here they are at the Kentucky Derby. Now, you can be sure, too, they'll be at the Indianapolis 500. Oh, they're really taking advantage of this. See, they think, what the Jehovah's Witnesses think is they are in a warning work. They've got to warn all of these people going to these events that Armageddon is right around the corner. And they want to have the opportunity to share the good news to these people. You see, they have an explanation for everything. So if someone went up to them and says, "What are you guys doing here?" That's what they'd say. Well, we're in a warning work. Well, we used to say similar things, didn't we? Yeah. So it's funny. It's really funny that we see the Jehovah's Witnesses making regular campaigns about these special events. And you know what's really weird? The Watchtower is suggesting, isn't it really fun? Doesn't it sound fun to have these campaigns where you can actually participate and you can actually put a cart in front of the Kentucky Derby or at the Super Bowl? Isn't that a wonderful thing to do? Well, you know something? You might get to put a cart outside the stadium, but they certainly don't want you going in there and enjoying yourself. I mean, other people, they go and they enjoy themselves. Jehovah's Witnesses don't enjoy themselves. And you know, it's really, I mean, how much fun is it watching other people get excited? Didn't you feel like you'd like to participate in some of these things as well? But no, the Jehovah's Witnesses have cut you off of really finding any entertainment, even when you went on vacation. Well, they never really liked the idea of you not attending an assembly or a convention if you were on vacation or go to the Kingdom Hall. You can't have any time off. How crazy is all of that? Well, I mean, I tell you what, that's the newest way of their preaching. These carts, they're not getting much help by recruiting witnesses in the door-to-door work. Now, nobody's coming in the door-to-door work. That's phony baloney stuff. People aren't even answering the doors anymore. So they got to wheel these carts all over the place. You see them in the inner cities. You see them all over the place, really. And now their latest campaigns, like I say, is showing up at these major sporting events. Enough is enough. Boy, I'll tell you, well, what an image people must have of the witnesses these days. You know, I remember years ago walking through an airport and the Hare Krishna people would be there and chasing you around and giving you their literature. Well, at least the witnesses aren't chasing you around. They just sit there and stare into space. But they're there. How cultish is that? You know, people, normal-headed people, they probably see the witnesses there and go, what are those kooky people all up to? Really? The Watchtower organization is looking more and more kooky, cultish, and crazy as the years go on. Nobody's getting excited about Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't know if they ever did. But anyways, that I wanted to report that to you tonight because that kind of stood out in my mind as I was going through the news. But there they are. There the witnesses are with their crazy carts. Well, anyways, this is Rick Fearon, as I say, giving you news tonight all about what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. And I'll go into our next story. And I want to let people know, too, tonight at 9:30, we have got a very special guest coming on. This man has really, he's done his research. His name is Donald Brown. And Donald Brown, he's writing a book, and it's all about Jehovah's Witnesses. And this man is going to tell you they are like the North Korean government. They are totalitarian. Of course, we know it anyways. But some of the things that Michael's going to tell us tonight, you're going to find very, very amusing and very interesting that we will be able to use in helping some of our relatives get out of this organization. Well, you know, the thing I noticed, too, this week, and it's been popping up all over the place in the last month, but it's nothing really totally new. This has been going on now for quite a while, but the Watchtower organization, they seem to be removing more and more digital literature publications from their website. Yeah, a lot of publications are starting to disappear just in the last few years, but in the last month or so, a lot of stuff is disappearing. Many of the old books, the Watchtowers, Awakes, they evidently are deleting a bunch of these Watchtower issues, and they're doing it pretty much on a wholesale level. Now, this is not new for older publications, hard print books. The Watchtower for years has been trying to get Watchtower libraries and Kingdom Halls cleaned out and the old publications sent back to Watchtower. So they said that they could have them and redistribute them. That's a bunch of baloney. They're being sent back to Watchtower and they burn them. We had some people talk about that one time here on the Six Screens a couple of years ago. They have a regular, like a big furnace outside of Wallkill, a boiler room of some type where they get all these old publications in, and they don't keep them for their library. They're not redistributing them. They're burning them. They don't want these old publications around. And it's not just publications in digital publications. It's also some of the videos. I'm seeing that the morning worship videos. Well, Tony Morris, remember him? Well, he was a governing body member. Or he did a bunch of morning videos on jw.org, but they're gone. And also, they've been editing some of the convention videos too. Why would the Watchtower edit some of this? They're editing it because countries are beginning to look into their shady dealings. And countries can look this stuff up so fast, so they got to really move quick to edit some of these videos. Maybe like on shunning, for example. They don't want to spread the word too much. They're really shunning experts. I mean, who shuns people worse than the Watchtower? Maybe Islam, but I think Watchtower at least be second, right? But what I'm thinking is they're editing these videos because you got Norway questioning their shunning practices. You got Belgium, you got Sweden. So they're starting to go back. I'm sure they have a number of Bethelites that are working on doing this and, going back and taking things out that might be indicting to them, it might get them indicted and brought into court. So, they've been working very hard to hide any evidence. Older publications being destroyed, digital publications in literature being deleted. This is really showing, it's really revealing the Watchtower, Jehovah's Witness, deceitful nature. Yeah, the Watchtower, their nature is deceitful. They're liars. And they have failed on many, many points and many, many times to fulfill their prophecy. All the prophecies that they ever really prophesied, they don't come true. And people have actually made their life, they centered their life around these prophecies. Many people didn't go to school, they didn't get married, they didn't have children because the Watchtower prophecies were telling them 50 years ago, 100 years ago, don't really get involved in too much. The system is ending. This is criminal. This is criminal responsibility. They have really hurt, made sick, and even made people die because of their false doctrines. Millions of people who've been affected by listening to their baloney. But you see, they don't want to lose any members. They don't want you reading this old literature because, boy, I'll tell you what, they want to remain deceptive. They don't want you to think it's even there, but it is. And they remove publications. Really, they're doing it so much lately. They remove publications like they do governing body members, quietly. The Watchtower is not telling you they're doing it. They're doing it quietly and secretively. As a matter of fact, these older publications, they're going up like smoke, just like Tony Morris. Well, when that video did about apostates and how they're going to go up like smoke at Armageddon, well, their publications are going up like smoke. So I thought that we'd like to discuss that tonight, and maybe you guys have some thoughts yourself, but what got me thinking when I saw this online and all the publications being removed, I can just remember, you got to roll the clocks back to about 15, 20 years ago. If you went by a Kingdom Hall, you would find boxes and boxes of stuff that they were putting out by the side of the street for the junk collection. And what was in these boxes was a lot of the old publications. And I managed to get a lot of them. I have one of the largest, if perhaps, I think it's the largest collection of Watchtower literature in all of New England. And I got all kinds of it from, the Watchtower, the Kingdom Halls, throwing this stuff out. So maybe you got some that way too, but they're still doing it. They do not want these older publications around. It's indicting them. It's showing their true colors. Well, who'd like to come in? Who'd like to say hello to me tonight? All you have to do is hit *6. And what do you think? What do you think? Yeah, go ahead. You're on with it.
Remember the January 8th Awake, 1947, where the Watchtower wrote an article in the Awake, "Are you also excommunicated?" And they were blasting the Catholic Church for the practice of excommunicating members that fell out of favor with the Catholic Church. And they addressed the very scriptures that the Catholic Church used to back up their excommunication. And they said the Watchtower was saying in this particular Awake article how unchristian it was, that this was not being Christ-like. And then 5 years later, I believe in 1952, in the March Watchtower, I think it was, March 15th, they had an article all about disfellowshipping using the same scriptures that the Catholic Church had used to back up their excommunication practice that 5 years before Watchtower had said was not right. They don't want you to know that. And Kimmy did a little piece about that. She said she had a copy, an actual copy of that 1947 Awake, January 8th, I believe it was, Awake, 1947, "Are you also excommunicated?" blasting the Catholic Church for, this practice and the scriptures that they use, and said these scriptures do not say or back up your practice of excommunicating members. And Kimmy was showing this Awake, and she said a sister had given it to her because she was going around trying to show everybody how wrong it was, how the Watchtower will say one thing and then they'll completely do a turnaround and then deny that they ever said the first thing. And she said that it was so old and brittle that Timmy said she had to put each page into a page protector. But she was saying, hang on to these publications because they're hard copy evidence. Thank you, Rick.
Well, yeah, you're right with that, Anne-Marie. Absolutely. Hang on to them. And I'm seeing more and more people, they are beginning to say, geez, I wish I didn't throw my publications out. I know they're a pain in the neck to keep and store, but try to hang on to them. Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, it's great that you're hanging on to them because, they've never said they're wrong. They've never admitted they've lied. And so, I think everybody's hanging on to them because we're never going to let them forget their lies. And here's the other thing I want to say, Rick. I was thinking about this week. Why does Watchtower have to hold a freaking gun to people's heads to keep them inside? I mean, when you listen to Fat Ass Tony, but when you listen to Tony Morris, what does he tell them? Oh man, you're going to be soaked with blood. Those who ain't getting their ass back out, they're going to be drenched with blood. Why? Why can't the witnesses, the Jehovah's Witnesses, fall in love with Jehovah? Why do they have to have a gun to their head? Why do they always have to be threatened with, you're not going to get into paradise. You're never going to see your family. They're under constant threat. And I just think, man, we should fall in love with God. We should see God working in our life and say, wow, man, God's blessed me. God is good. But instead, they have the death threat. Do you know what I mean, Rick?
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. And I know exactly what you mean, Dan. But this is why we do this program and why you and your wife, Angela, do your videos. That's why all of us together, that's why we do it. We don't do it for the fun of it. Geez, we're doing it trying to expose people how dangerous these guys are.
Yeah, and Rick, coming out of there, I just want to say one final thing. Coming out of there, the people who have come out of there is no small thing. We went through hell with our brainwashing. These guys told us we were puke, vomit, garbage, we were going to suffer second deaths. I mean, they hit us with the whole thing, the whole kitchen sink. They hit us with every damn Bible negative crap they could hit us with. They hit us with sideways in the back of the head, in the front of the head. And when we came out, Rick, we were messed up. I was thinking about it today. I was driving my car down the road, and I had a convertible. And I thought Jehovah's hand was going to come over that mountain and grab my ass out of the car. And I had to live with that for a few years by myself. Because like you said, years ago, we didn't have this kind of help. And we suffered through it. And somehow we got through it. God helped us through. So we're not shutting our fucking mouths. We're going to keep going.
Well, that's what we're doing, Dan. We're doing it. You guys are doing it. And we're so glad that there's so many other YouTubers doing as well. Yeah, go ahead. We got you coming in. Yep.
Hey, Rick, it's Ben up here in northern British Columbia, Canada. I just wanted to try and call up and see how you guys are doing tonight. And I got my 2 cents to talk about the cart work here.
Yeah.
If you don't mind chatting about that.
Oh, no, it's in the news. So they're at the Kentucky Derby this weekend. So what's going on up in British Columbia?
Well, I'll tell you, like, I live in a really small town up here, and we've been up here about 3 years, and these Jehovah's Witnesses, I've had my interactions with them at the carts. But I noticed they're on the carts. It's the same 3 or 4 people. They're always on the carts now, and they're bringing in people from other towns. I don't know if they know it's because me and my wife are here, but they're on the cart steady, and I've been confronting. Like, I drive by, it's hard because it's a small town. They're in my face or right in front of the grocery store or what have you, and I try to just keep doing my work. I don't bother them too much, but when it's convenient to me, I do go up to them. And it's like these guys, it's hilarious. They just pick up and take off the minute they see me. When I pull in the other day, there was a guy, and I seen these 2 Jehovah's Witnesses on the carts, and I thought, it was new ones. I thought, I'll pull in and talk to them. When I pulled in, there was this elder in a car, and it just looked like he had come from the restaurant. He had all his fast food on his lap. And when he seen me pull in, all his food went flying all over the place. He jumped out, went over the carts. Like, they don't want to talk about nothing, And so what I've been doing now is I just go up with videos on my phone ready to play, and I try to talk to them nice. And if they don't talk, I just stand beside them and start playing your videos or what have you. And they just pick up and take right off. They don't want to talk about sex abuse. They don't want to talk about anything. It's like I told them, look, I've been a Jehovah's Witness I was a Jehovah's Witness my whole life for almost 45 years. I know what I'm talking about. They don't want to talk about nothing. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, I know. Well, no, that's more than 2 cents on it, because really, there's a lot of ex-witnesses that try to visit the witnesses at the carts. Not too successful. Not too successful. They don't listen, like you say. They don't want to hear nothing. All they want to do is direct you to jw.org. But that's all.
I told them I had a good conversation with one of them the other day, and I said, look, I direct people to jw.org myself. I said, it's such a farce. And I had a good he said, well, you're disturbing our ministry. I said, well, you guys don't have a ministry. You're not doing anything. You're not even talking. I said, what about, I came down to talk to this guy the other day. I had the Truth book, the Live Forever book, the Knowledge book, what kind the Bible teach, what does the Bible teach, and the Reasoning book. I tried to talk to him. He wouldn't talk to me. I said, you guys won't talk about any of this stuff. I said, what are you guys doing out here? They just pick up and take off. And it's bizarre because I'm in a town of like 3,000 or 4,000 people, but they're purposely, I can tell, bringing in people from other communities and putting them there on these carts. I don't know if I'm tagging that because they know me and my wife are here. And we found a little old lady just down the road here. She's been out at Jehovah's Witnesses for 13 years. She hasn't talked to her kids. She's got grandkids she doesn't even know. And I brought her up to them at the cart. I said, what about this little old lady there? I said, she hasn't done anything. What has she done except she doesn't want to be a Jehovah's Witness? I said, don't you think her kids could give her a call once a year and ask her if she's doing okay? They all looked at me, though. They knew who I was talking about. Right? I said, you guys should be ashamed of yourselves. What kind of a ministry are you doing? But anyway, the point I wanted to bring up is because it's a crux for me, because a lot of people bring up crashing carts or talking to carts, and my wife have been talking about it, and I don't know how much I'm going to do it anymore. I'm just going to start living with them because it takes so much of my energy out of me. and it's like talking to blocks of wood out there. So I'm going to try and focus my activism. You know, like I told them, I'm writing all the First Nations up here, and I'm telling them straight out, we have a residential school operating in plain sight. They didn't like it when I said that, but I said, I've got lots of First Nations people, friends up here, and I'm telling them that's what Jehovah's Witnesses are. They're a residential school operating in plain sight, and they're indoctrinating kids to hate. You know, talk about, Rick, on your program, this latest cartoon that they have on jw.org, where, you know, talk about your, where they show the cartoon of the kids learning at the convention, and they've got the little book there showing with the bird plucking out the people's eyes at Armageddon. You know, that's a topic to talk about. I told them, I said, I'm going to tell people about this. You're training kids to hate. You're a residential school in plain sight.
Well, you're right.
So,
You're right.
It's like talking to blocks of wood.
Well, you're right with that. Now, I'm going to be playing a video a little later on here. It's the newest video for kids to get them to the convention.
Yeah.
Wait till you see it. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's off of jw.org, and it's like a little advertisement getting the kids all excited about going to the convention. We're going to bring that up a little later on the news. But thank you.
Well,
No, thank you.
You're going to talk about that. I'm going to back off now, but thanks a lot for your show. I listen every week, and I love you guys. Appreciate you letting me do my little rant, and we'll be listening in. Bye now.
Well, no, we love it when people call in. Thank you very much. Yeah, well, there you go, British Columbia. Go ahead, you run with us, Anne-Marie.
I just wanted to comment on the gentleman, you know, the frustration of trying to deal with these people at the cart. And the answer is, we are Watchtower drones. We are indoctrinated with our programming. We have been assimilated by the Borg. Your data does not compute, does not compute, does not compute. Thank you, Rick.
Well, yeah, there you go. Well, that's very good, Anne-Marie. No, it is robotic. It's very, very robotic. And, you know, I have more people calling the program here all the time and trying to witness the witnesses at a cart. Even being nice and not always trying to crash the cart. In fact, I had one man tell us one day on here that he even approached them and even offered them to go. He'd buy him a cup of coffee, and he wanted to be able to talk to him a nice way, but they don't even like that. No. They don't want, no, you're not a Jehovah's Witness. We don't want to talk. They want to get you, they want to get you hooked up with jw.org. That's their whole purpose on being out there. But I like what the gentleman just said there from British Columbia, that they don't have a ministry. They think that's a ministry. That's not a ministry. That's an attempt to recruit people into a cult. It's a recruiting game. It's not a ministry. And I like how he said it's not a ministry. Well, anyways, you're on JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about. But don't you love talking about it? I mean, we're not trying to rub it in. We're just trying to expose how evil these bums are. And, you know, when I get on there, and you guys do it too, you check stuff out. I'm sure you're on Google and Chat GPT all week long asking questions about the Watchtower. And as of late, I have to tell you, this organization is getting to be extreme. They are going to any end possible to get their message out from lying. Of course, they always lied. You know, we always say that Satan is the father of the lie, but I think the Watchtower organization is the mother of the lie, really, when you think about it. So, but what about all of this lying, all of the scamming? It's not working for the Watchtower. Yeah, go ahead. You run with us.
Yeah, Rick, do you know, I spoke earlier to Anne-Marie, who's fantastic, isn't she? So it was great to speak to her. And
you come nice and close to your microphone now, because I think you're calling in from the UK.
Okay, yeah. I think Anne-Marie had the same problem. Sorry, yeah, I'm too English, I'm too quiet.
That's better, yeah.
I spoke earlier with Anne-Marie. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think things are changing, though, aren't they? The organisation is not the organisation of 1970. I was 11 in 1975, and I remember those conversations. I didn't understand them then. I was too young, but I understand them now. And I look at the organisation now, and I think that And I know that my family, they're devout. Nothing is going to shift them, but that's okay. Things are different. The lies are so clear that it will affect, in a good way, many, many people. Philip Brumley, I mean, $150,000 fine for lying in court. And I know that Jehovah's Witnesses are taught, don't believe in the courts, but some will. The lies are clear, and the abuse is clear. I mean, let's be absolutely clear about this. These people, including my family, believe that this is God's one and only true organization. And you know what? You'd expect it to be at least half decent. And it's not. It's just not. And so I don't think Watchtower is going to go anywhere very soon, but I think all these revelations are great news. It's good, because some people will see the light. I know it makes me feel better. It makes me realize that the choices I made when I was a young 17-year-old boy were the right choices. Watchtower has only one path forward, and that's to continue the light. Whatever happened to, remember, I remember when I was a young kid, on the bottom of every awake, every page, I think it was, this generation will by no means pass away. Gone. Faded. Disappeared. They're hoping that all the older people will die. You know, they'll forget it, and the next generation won't know. It's on its last legs. It won't die, because people need it. But I do think the days of Watchtower, its heyday is long gone, and we need to rejoice at that. And let Philip Brumley pay his bill.
Yeah.
And good luck to them, Rick. But I'm so glad not to be part of it, and we need to hope that more and more people come away.
Well, they are. They're coming away now. Listen, I just want to tell you, too, I know you're calling from the UK or anybody else calling in from a foreign country. We do have a lot of foreigners on here tonight. We have an app that you can download for free, and it won't charge you to call into the United States. So if anyone listening, including yourself, sir, from the United Kingdom, if you want to get that app, it's so easy to get. It's free. Send me an email to jwworldnews@gmail.com, jwworldnews@gmail.com, and I'll get you the app, and it's so easy. You'll be able to dial in, and we'll hear you so nice and clear. But thank you for calling in from the UK. Thank you. Yeah.
Can I leave you with one question before I go?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, in recent videos from Watchtower, they've spoken about how Jehovah's blessed them. In fact, I recall that when they made an appeal to Norway, they thanked Jehovah, and they asked everybody to pray for the Norway decision. Well, the Norway decision hasn't worked out very well for Watchtower. In fact, it's gone against them. And Philip Brumley, their legal lead advisor, is having to pay, well, Watchtower will pay it, $150,000, I think. So here's my question, although I'm speaking to the converted, because all of your audience, where was Jehovah?
Well, no, that's a darn good question you're asking. I'd ask the same thing. Where is Jehovah in all of this? If all of those witnesses,
I'll tell you where he is, if he exists. He decided he didn't want to play the long game. So that's my thought on that one.
Yeah. Well, no, you got it right. Well, thank you for calling in from the UK. Always good to have new people calling in. Thank you. What's your name, sir? Andy. All right. Well, Andy, thank you. I'll be listening for you. And give me the email, and I'll send you the app so you don't have to pay calling in. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
All righty. Thank you. Well, you're on JW World News. Of course, we love to do the news, don't we? We love it. Like Andy from the United Kingdom, he loves to hear the Watchtower falling apart. Well, we do too. How about you?
Well, Mr. Fearon.
Yeah, go ahead, Ken, from Northern Michigan. You're on with us. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just like to comment here. I don't often put any emphasis on myself, but I just like to get a point across. If I make a mistake or something like that or offend somebody, I like to make it right. I like to apologize to the person. And if I make a mistake, I'd like to correct the matter, and I'd like to make every effort not to make the same mistake again. And if I am misled in any way and I come across the truth, I make every effort to accept the truth as it is and put the misleading information, aside and so forth. Watchtower Society just keeps on making the same old mistakes, telling the same old lies. They're trying to go back to the door-to-door work. They're trying to do cart witnessing. None of it works. Nobody's paying any attention to them anymore like they used to. It's a total and absolute failure. And then there was talk about their criticism of the Catholic Church or something earlier and all that. And let's talk about shunning and so forth. The Watchtower Society claims that they got all their information via the Spirit of God. That's a bunch of malarkey. They went around the different denominations and they picked the beliefs that they wanted, cafeteria style, including some of the old style religions of old there on shunning policies and all that. They copied that stuff out of the other religion and so forth, and they adopted that stuff. And so they adopted all their beliefs and everything like that via personal opinions. In other words, as the Christianity would say, man-made doctrines. They never adopted anything from the Christianity Bible or anything hardly whatsoever. They just claim they do. And every time they go to defend themselves or their doctrine, and they open up their the Christianity Bible and that, and they make a quote out of it, you'll find out that it's vague, that it's inconsistent, sometimes even contradictory. So yeah, the Watchtower Society, we just see right now that it's a failure, and we just hope that they're going to be exposed more and more, and that they're going to be, brought to light more and more, and the people will see them for what they truly are.
Well, you're right, Ken. In fact, the good news is the Calvary is showing up. Really, it really is. This is a different world for the Watchtower. Watchtower is in a real deep pickle right now. They're in big time trouble. Thank you, Ken. Thank you for coming in.
I'm bringing this across too right now. The religion in general, Christianity in general, is on the downturn. I heard a news report this morning that one of the major religious denominations, the Presbyterian Church, is on the downturn. And there was a lot of people going and following these religions. So if those other religions are on the downturn, people are kind of walking away from them. How's the Watchtower Society going to expect to come back, with their attitude they have? Well, we all know that answer. They're not.
Well, they're not. They're really not. And like I said at the outset of the program, the Watchtower is dead, Ken. It just hasn't fallen over yet. Thank you very much, Ken. Yeah.
We'll keep listening.
You got it. Go ahead, Dan. You're on with us.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Rick, I have to agree with Ken. Their days are over. And the reason they're over is because you can't hide under anything anymore. All their stuff is in the light. All their lies, all their false prophecy, the testimony of Jehovah's Witnesses it's a lie. It's a cult. It's everywhere. So it's just so foolish, like Ken said, for them to be out there with carts and pushing. They're going nowhere. It's over. The light is out. The news is out on them. And there's nowhere to hide. And there was a spiritual guy a while ago that was talking. He said, if you're not operating from integrity, business is over. There's no more bad business. If I make a mistake in my business, somebody goes online and puts out 4 bad reviews, I'm done. If a restaurant owner treats somebody bad, somebody goes on Google or the different search engines or goes on Facebook Live, it's over. And so Watchtower is over. It is over. It's just a laughing stock now. It's like you said, they look retarded. They're like flies. Why would you show up at a Kentucky Derby? Why would they let them on the property? It's like, get these people out of here. They're just in the way. So anyway, it's over for them, Rick. It's over. And that time period is gone and past, and we're glad. Anyway, that's it, Rick. Thank you.
Well, Dan, you're right. That's why we always say here, the monkey died, the circus is over. Take them off the grill, they're cooked. It's done, finished. Yeah. So anyways, yeah. So what we got here is Ken was talking. Of course, we had Dan as well and others. Is it over? Well, let's just look at some facts here. You know, it's one thing to just say it's over, but are we speaking from the sole of our shoe, or is just something that we can really put some facts on? Well, I'm going to put up right now. I'm going to show you a picture of a recent convention. I want you to see the pictures of this recent convention, and you tell me if it's over. Well, take a look at this. Hold on one second. There it is. Take a look at that. That's not a convention, friends. I'm sorry. That's an assembly. That's a circuit assembly. Take a look at that. Look at those empty seats. It's unbelievable. And this is during the regular session. This isn't like beforehand. And take a look over here. Look at the whole. You look to the right. The right of that stadium there's nobody even sitting there. And down on the floor, that's for the elderly people. Those seats, how they used to put those out on the floor, they're only half full. Really, here's another picture of that. Look at this. Look at this. We got empty seats galore. So, I mean, that speaks volumes. You know, they always say a picture speaks 1,000 words. You tell me what you think. Dwindling numbers. That's all I can talk about. But it's not just at assemblies. I'm looking forward to they're going to be ramping up the regional conventions. That's coming up the end of this month. Oh, I'm looking so forward to seeing all the empty seats. And we'll be at a protest right here in Lowell, Massachusetts in July. And we'll have some people go in and see and take some pictures. But empty seats galore all over the place. That's going to be happening very shortly as the conventions open up. But even congregations, you know, when they had these foreign congregations, many people are familiar with that. And the Watchtower wanted some of the brothers and sisters to learn Chinese or learn German or Italian or Spanish or whatever, and then start little congregations using these brothers that could speak the language. Well, they're shutting them all down. Forget about that. That is the biggest farce. And I'll tell you what, they're tanking. And I got some information that came into the 6 screens concerning a congregation, well, actually a circuit. Now, this is the foreign congregation circuit. So it actually extended from New York all the way down to Washington, D.C. That's a pretty big circuit, right? So it was a foreign language speaking circuit. And all the foreign language people that say it was Cambodian, Spanish, they'd all get together. But to make a long story short, there's no doubt that the foreign language congregations are dying. They'll all be dead here very, very shortly. But it's spilling over too into the regular congregations. The congregation that I used to attend right here in Wilmington, Massachusetts. I was there protesting just a month ago. I went to the memorial and I did a protest. And I didn't recognize anybody. They were all foreign people. They have 4 congregations meeting there. So what they're doing is they're taking certain kingdom halls, and to make them look like they're prosperous and they're growing, they're bringing more congregations in. They're shutting congregations down around the area, and then they're selling the kingdom hall off, and then they send them to this given kingdom hall, this one in Wilmington. So that's what's really going on. So, you go there and say, well, there's quite a bit of people, but no, it's not. It's a lie. There's quite a bit of people because they shut other congregations down and sent them there. So don't let you go by a kingdom hall. There's a lot of cars there. Don't say, oh my goodness, they're growing. They're not. Many congregations, I'm getting reports coming into the 6 screens. There's 20 cars in the lot. Nothing's going on in the Jehovah's Witness world. So the Jehovah's Witnesses, they've got to look at, here's what you got to do. And I hope you guys understand this to the best degree you can. What the Watchtower's got to do is they got to really give the appearance that they are growing. They've got to do that. That's what a cult has to do. Because as you're bringing more people in, you have more people going right out the back door. So a cult has got to get people coming in. So they got to cook the books. They got to fudge the numbers, as we would say. Now, just listen to me for a second. I'm going to give you some information here that I find very, very fascinating. And this is what we have to really come to grips with here tonight. We have to realize that if you, let's put it this way, you're going out in service, you're a Jehovah's Witness, you're an active PME, you're physically in, you're mentally in, you're going out in service, and all of a sudden you hear a report come across the internet from jw.org or in the magazines that, you know, we're not really bringing the people in like we used to, our numbers are dying. You're not going to hear that. What incentive would that be for you to continue going out and publishing and selling their books and setting the cart up? There'd be no incentive for you. So they got to give the appearance they are growing, and it's all a big lie. They're playing games with numbers. There's no doubt about it. They keep declaring an increase in publishers, and, you know, because here's what they do. Hey, I'm going to tell you why they keep doing this, but they're doing it in such a way that nobody's noticing it. So they'll come across and say, wow, we got a big increase in publishers. We got more publishers than ever. Well, they're not telling you that they've lowered the restrictions to count people as a publisher. I mean, there's some people that are infirm and sick and old, and if you just get 5 minutes, now this is new. Before you had to get at least 15 minutes. And then one time, even before that, you had to at least get 1 hour in a month to be able to be considered a publisher. Then they brought it down. Well, if you're infirm or sick, you only have to get 15 minutes in. Now they got it down to 5 minutes. If you can just 5 minutes, that's all, just 5 minutes, witness to somebody and will count you as a publisher. You see how the games they're playing here? Geez, if you can't get 5 minutes in, geez, that's pretty bad, right? But that's what the Watchtower, it's a shell game. It's just a game they're playing, but the game is over. What do you think? What do you think? The witnesses, see, here's what I'm seeing. The Watchtower thinks that all the Jehovah's Witnesses are dummies, stupid. They really do. But not all of them are. Many of them right now are waking up and smelling the coffin. They're not all dummies. Let me tell you that right now. So I found it very fascinating that, you know, they keep coming out with these infomercials of theirs with Hendricks and some of these officials from the Watchtower going into these small little communities and taking a big full page ad. It's an ad. It's not a real story. It's an advertisement, but they'll pay for a full page ad on how wonderful the Jehovah's Witness organization is doing. Or they'll take ads out on a small town broadcasting news station, and they'll, you know, have a little segment on there on how wonderful the Jehovah's Witnesses are doing. What a crock of baloney. It's paid advertising. It's propaganda. It's too much. Yeah, so anyways, there's so many things. I get excited when I'm going over all of this stuff for the news every Saturday night and every other Sunday. I get very excited because I'm looking at an organization. The way that I'm interpreting all of this is I'm looking at an organization that, geez, they're grasping for straws. That there's nothing that they have that could excite anyone to want to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses anymore. Those days are over. It's done. It's finished. Stick a fork in it, as we say. And when I examine what goes on in this organization, it's more and more repulsive every day I look at it. And, you know, I have to tell you what's going on right now. You guys know, buckle your seats. Buckle your seatbelt in, because I'm going to give you some information here tonight that's really going to upset you. It is. It's going to really upset you. I come across some information. Of course, I got wind of this years ago, but now it's coming to its head. You know, all that COVID relief money that we all got? Hey, I got a check. You guys got a check. Everybody probably listening to the program, President Trump was the first one to send out checks, and then President Biden. So we were getting money in the mail left and right. I mean, geez, I thought it was wonderful. And you guys liked it too, right? You didn't want to send it back. You wanted to keep it, right? But the money was just coming to you like, oh my goodness. You walk out to the mailbox and there's a check for $600. You walk out a few weeks later, there's a check for $2,000. It was like, geez, money was all over the place. Okay, so what am I getting at here? Well, I'm getting at, from when I get word coming into me at the 6 screens, that the Bethelites have been ordered, or at least being suggested by the Watchtower, to ask for some of this COVID relief money. There's some still available. And, the government hasn't closed the program on it completely. So I get word here from a Bethelite that they're now participating in this COVID relief money fund. So they've been asked to, and I got on the IRS website today to see if this is still in play, and it is. It's called the Assistance for American Family and Workers. So the Bethelites, of course, they make a stipend amount of money. They don't make any money. But they were told by the Watchtower, the powers to be, to file a income statement with the IRS. Now, they don't make a lot, so just, okay, I was making, so much, but then because of COVID, they're going to have to, fudge the books here a little bit. And because of COVID, we didn't really receive the money that we thought we would receive, so I'd like to get more money. So some of these Bethelites now, they're getting checks in the mail, and they're bragging about it. They're bragging about it on Zoom. They're saying, wow, we're going to be able to take a vacation this summer, and boy, we're going to have plenty of money because the government's sending us money because of this COVID relief. So the point I'm trying to make here, it's not really kosher. Could we say that? I don't want to beat up on the Jewish people here, but could we say that it's fair that the Watchtower is supposed to be taking care of these people? The Watchtower has had these people come into Bethel, sign a vow of poverty. But now the Watchtower is saying, well, go ahead and, file with the government for the COVID relief money and see if we can't, see if the government can't send you a check. But what do you think the Watchtower's goal is here? Well, what do you think their reason for doing this is? It's so when the money comes in, that some of these Bethelites will donate some of that money right back to the Watchtower. These guys are sneaky all the way around. And, years ago, we had Johnny the Bethelite on here. He was an active Bethelite, and he talked about how Watchtower encouraged in New York for the Bethelites to apply for state help when it comes to insurance for, the New York State Health Insurance Program. Now, what about the Watchtower? They don't want to take care of anything. They want the government to, be able to come in now and pay all of the health care for the Bethelites. And so just about every Bethelite, from what I understand, is on Medicaid and on New York State health care. And, this is a scam. And the Watchtower is getting away with this. I mean, they have people go there and they don't want them to, have anything to do with the government. Don't vote, don't even talk about who the best candidate would be, but yet they encourage people to get on the government dole. Now, there's many people that need it, and I understand that. I understand there's many people that really do need it. But, a lot of these Bethelites, they're being asked to get involved with government handouts so that these handouts can go right back into the coffers of the Watchtower. This is nothing new, friends. I hope you don't think this is something you're hearing for the first time. But, this has been going on. If you go all the way back to the Watchtower, March 15th, 2014, it talks about, this is what it says. I'm reading it verbatim right out of the Watchtower here. It says, in some lands, government authorities provide pensions, welfare programs, and home care attendance for senior citizens. For instance, the elders may be able to help out by assisting the parents to learn about the benefits from government and social programs locally. So they're telling you that, you can get material assistance through the government or social programs. And this has also been outlined in the organized book, Jehovah's Witness book, page 128. So what I'm saying here is the Watchtower, they have this in the last couple of months. They've been very forward in suggesting to the witnesses to get involved in these government programs where they can get money, because there's a lot of money right now that's available to people. And the Watchtower feels, wow, we can get our witnesses to take this money, and then they'll have excess money. They can give it to us. Go ahead. You're on with us.
Hi, Rick. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. My name is Anibal Vasquez. I'm calling from Buffalo, New York.
Yes.
That's total embezzlement. And Watchtower is in practice of embezzling money either from other countries through gambling or other ways of financing, through the back door. And this is just total upfront embezzling the government. And I'm planning to sue the Watchtower with New York State with the Attorney General. And I will be requesting so much information from like Kim and Jim and all the apostates that are YouTube to send me vital information, and just expose the Watchtower of their lack of human rights and child abuse, and also developing all these different corporations that is swindling the money from one country to another, and that's only the top tip of the iceberg. Enough is enough with this organization, and so I know that New York had that 2-year period of the sexual, for people to come up with the sexual, no matter the length of time, to sue Watchtower. But no one's really that I heard has gone through the Attorney General of New York, because they're headquartered here. So there is a more of a power here once the Attorney General sees all the activities that are that the transactions between other countries from the United States, and they're funding and hiding all this money and building corporations, and also trying to hide their liability to the United States. And that's why you got a bunch of white men running this organization, where so many people qualified all over the world that could be governing body. But no, they just want to keep it in-house because they have more control. And so you're totally right. They are losing, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And I am so angry with this organization and what it's done to my family that I'm going to spend so much time, with this litigation. And I would be paying for all the stamps and all the papers, any, information that they will damage this organization, and bring it to the Attorney General of New York.
Well, good for you. Good for you. Now, what's your first name again?
Anibal Vasquez.
Even?
Anibal. It's like Hannibal. People call me Peter, but it's like Hannibal the Great, that kind of name. But
yeah. All right. Well, fine. Well, fine. But thank you for calling into the program. Always good to hear. You're a new caller. Thank you. I do appreciate you calling in. Don't you be a stranger. Now you come back and visit us, okay?
Well, thank you for listening to me.
Well, no, we love to listen to you. Thank you. Well, there you have it.
I love your program.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you like it. So anyways, what we got here is he used the word embezzlement. He used the word embezzlement. In a way, it is like embezzlement. And, on one hand, though, I have to tell you, the government has been very generous. They've been very, very generous handing out money. I mean, even the Boston bomber, the marathon bomber, when he was in jail, he was also going to get the money. It just was, all you had to do was have an income below $75,000 and report some income, and you'd get a check from the government. And most listening to this program did. So the governing body, it might not be totally illegal what they did, but I'll tell you what, it certainly would be unethical. Don't you think if you committed yourself to an organization where you would collect. I think the average Bethelite now gets about 130, 140, 50 bucks a month. And don't you think that, you take a vow of poverty, you commit that, that's it. I'm now a slave of the Watchtower. Wouldn't you think that would be, considered that's what I did and that's what Jehovah would want me to do? But now the organization's suggesting, well, squeeze the government, see if you can get a few more bucks. And the only reason why they're doing that is so that the Watchtower can say, well, geez, you got yourself $1,200. I mean, don't you think we should get half of it or something like that? I mean, that's what they're trying to do. So, I mean, I can see it. We all can see it. And it's very, very unethical. And I think it's also unethical that you have an organization that is a multi-billion-dollar organization that has all of these people coming and working for peanuts, and they are supposedly to take care of these ones medically, but then they put the responsibility on the state of New York to handle their health insurance. What type of an organization is this? I mean, the more I learn about it, the deeper I understand how evil they are. Well, you guys have been following this week the news, and I have to tell you the biggest story all week. Pennsylvania investigates the systemic sex child abuse in the Jehovah's Witnesses. Systemic, not a few isolated cases. Many cases of sexual child abuse in the state of Pennsylvania, as well as throughout the whole country and the world. But Pennsylvania is coming down hard on the Jehovah's Witnesses. As a matter of fact, it's all over the news. I'm going to play a little clip here in just a second or two, but it's all over the news. And even, I'll tell you what, even in Pennsylvania, if you live there, you could not miss the fact. Let me put something up here. Hold on one second. I got a picture. I want to put this picture up. Take a look at this. Take a look at that. That is the front page of a Pennsylvania newspaper. That is on the front page. Now take a look at that man right there. He's a former Jehovah's Witness elder. He's on the front page of that newspaper. That went out last Sunday. That's a Sunday edition. And there he is, and it's a full page. It goes into the abuse, sexual child abuse in the Watchtower. How impossible name. How can the Watchtower, avoid this type of bad publicity? Go ahead, you're on with us. I think we got the King of Dots with us.
Unfortunately, you do, Rick.
All right. Good.
Anyway, occasionally I will talk about my friend Steve. He's married to Raymond Francis' great niece. That's a fact. And anyway, he's hit hard financial times. His wife planned for the new system. They've got 2 22 and 25-year-old kids living at home who aren't working. And their dad can no longer work. They're going under. Anyway, his sister calls him up this week from the local hall, 2 miles as the crow flies from me, a double hall. And she tells him that the Great Tribulation is starting in June. She's baptized 50 years this year, 1973. She's a 75er. She claims because of the debt ceiling, the U.S. will default on its debt and the whole world will collapse. This is apparently, Steve took to mean that that's what the witnesses are saying in our area. Another end of the world date in June. That's 3 weeks away. The Great Tribulation is going to start. I just want to inform you to prepare yourself, Rick. Okay.
Well, that is just absolutely absurd. I'm even surprised that they would even think.
I'm
yeah.
Filthy, rotten, disgusted to hear that kind of crap going around after all these years. And that's pretty much it. That I wanted to warn all the audience too. The Great Tribulation is coming in June. So prepare yourselves.
Well, you know something. Well, no, King of Dots. Don't go. Really, stay here with us because I want.
No, I'll stay with
All right.
I'll stay with you. I'll hold your hand.
Well, hold my hand because I gotta get more from you. You're telling us too much here. It's a little hard to absorb, but I'm connecting with you.
I still haven't absorbed it. I just found out 2 days ago that the Great Tribulation is starting in June.
Well, certainly, I'm not laughing at you, but I'm thinking that with the.
I'm not actually laughing. I'm half serious. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe people are telling people this. This is like some of the best consider the best kingdom halls in the state of Ohio. And this is what they're saying.
Well, I believe it. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, I'm just flabbergasted that these people are still that stupid.
Yeah, but see what it's saying to me, what you're saying here right now is sinking into my mind, and it's making sense to me because the story we're discussing right now has to do with the Pennsylvania investigation. They are under a lot of investigation in the state of Pennsylvania. It's an ongoing investigation, and some big heavy hitters look like they're going to be coming down on the Watchtower. So maybe they're preparing people, and look at this tribulation started. You might be onto something here. I'm not saying it's not true, but you might be onto something. You're telling us before you tell us. Thank you, King of Dots.
Well, you're very much welcome, Rick.
All right. So well, there you go. I mean, so that's, that was the next story that we're going to talk about. Now, I want you to, in view of what the King of Dots was just saying, something big is coming down right now on the Watchtower. I mean, I'm putting pieces up. I'm trying to pick up crumbs on the trail. I'm trying to put pieces together here. Now, we have this investigation. Evidently, there's some heavy hitters in the Watchtower that may be indicted. We have Tony Morris being removed as a governing body member. We have, constantly listening to Watchtower articles in the last few months about, obey the governing body, no matter how stupid it sounds, no matter how illogical it sounds. Something's coming down. I smell a rat. I'm beginning to smell a rat. Something's not smelling right here. So now I'm going to play you a clip. Now you listen to this clip closely. This is all over Pennsylvania right now. All of the news stations, you name it, all of the big cities in Pennsylvania that have a news station, they're playing. In fact, it's their front article in their news station concerning the Watchtower and how they've been covering up child sex abuse. You got to listen to this. So let's play it. I want you to hear it. Oh my goodness, this is unbelievable. So let's play it right now. Let me share it on the screen. Let's play it, and I want you to just pay attention to what's being said here, then we're going to discuss it.
The grand jury has recently brought child sex abuse charges against 9 men, all Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay, just let that.
Want to know how I went from a broke father of 2 with $500 to my name, deeply.
Just hold on one second, folks. We'll get right back to it right now. It's coming on now. It's very different.
Average Joes across the country are
it plays after the ad. Just give it the ad. Hold on.
Taking advantage of a hidden tax sale loophole. And if you hold.
A Pennsylvania grand jury has recently brought child sex abuse charges against 9 men, all Jehovah's Witnesses, in what some are calling the most extensive investigation into the group in history.
Fox 43's Harry Lee reveals the investigation that will likely lead to an official report that could have major consequences for the Jehovah's Witness organization.
The first time was a Wednesday morning.
Martin Hawk was assigning door-to-door routes for the Red Lion Jehovah's Witnesses congregation when a teenage member slipped inside the Kingdom Hall with Hawk's 4-year-old daughter.
I caught him, fondling my daughter. I didn't know what to do. I actually didn't do anything the first time because I didn't know if I saw that.
The second time was a Sunday morning.
My daughter disappeared again for the second time, and I freaked out. I was really scared because I knew he was there, and I saw him assaulting our daughter.
Even after the third time, for a true believer, there was nowhere to turn. The Hawks relied on divine justice, not secular.
The police are controlled by Satan, the justices. So we can't get justice for anybody out there.
The world is lying in the power of the wicked one.
In 2005, they reported the abuse to the elders, but not to police.
You're told to wait on Jehovah.
So they waited 11 years.
I wish it was the child abuse that woke me up, but it wasn't.
Hawk is now one of dozens of witnesses to testify before a Pennsylvania grand jury that's investigating an alleged systemic cover-up of child sexual abuse within the Jehovah's Witnesses organization.
The group, also known as the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, has 8.7 million members worldwide, including 1.2 million in America and 83,000 in Pennsylvania. It was founded in Pittsburgh in the 1870s, breaking with Orthodox Christianity over its focus on Armageddon and separation from the world.
In recent months, Pennsylvania Attorney General Michelle Henry announced sex abuse charges against 9 members of Jehovah's Witnesses, hinting at a larger pattern.
Some of these defendants even used their faith communities to prey upon the victims, and others had to look no further than their own families.
Defense lawyer Dan Kiss said his client, Robert Ostrander.
All right, stop right there for 1 second. I mean, you can see that the Watchtower is in big time trouble, being investigated here. And it goes on, but I won't go any further with it. But here they are being investigated in Pennsylvania. And I mean, the state of Pennsylvania is not giving up, folks. They are really coming down heavy on the witnesses. It is a big investigation, and it's only telling me that it's more than just, well, first of all of the congregations in Pennsylvania, there's over 500 congregations. They all have to come forward with records of covering up pedophilia. They have to report to the state, the Attorney General's office, any positions they had concerning child sex abuse in the congregations. The whole congregations of Jehovah's Witnesses in Pennsylvania. So there's something going on here that's not passing the smell test. This is coming down heavy on the Watchtower. So just this week, too, in fact, in the state of Pennsylvania, they're trying to remove the statute of limitations. In many states, as we've been discussing here on JW World News for many months, many years, really, they've been opening up the time where abuse victims can come forward. For many years, if an abuse victim, suppose you were molested when you were 10, and they would give you till you were 21. And after 21, you couldn't come forward with any charges. But in most states now, they removed the statute of limitation. And they moved it up because what they found out is most sexual child abuse victims, they don't come forward until they're in their early 50s. 52 is the average age that sex abuse survivors come forward. I mean, it's embarrassing, right? And they just don't want to talk about it. So they get into the 50s, they say, hey, I'm going to talk about it. I'm sick and tired of it. So now many states have opened up the statute of limitations to go beyond the age of 52. So some have made it like you just come forward whenever you want. So Pennsylvania right now is in the process of really extending this age, this statute of limitation time to be extended further so more abuse victims can come forward. And you can imagine what this is going to do to the Watchtower. They better get their checkbooks out, I'm telling you, because it's going to be very, very expensive. So I'm reading this here. It's quite the thing. I mean, I'm seeing so much. And you know what really ticks me off? What really ticks me off is the Jehovah's Witnesses for so many years. I remember when Cardinal Law up here in Boston with the Catholic Church and how they were abusing children and how the witnesses gloated over that. And, oh, look at the Catholic Church and look what they've been hiding. Well, for goodness sakes, the Catholic Church doesn't even come close, in my estimation, to what the Jehovah's Witnesses have been doing to children for years. This is a dangerous organization, and the organization is now coming under the microscope. And you know, another thing that ticks me off big time too is even right now, because there's so much prolific sexual child abuse in the Jehovah's Witness organization, some of the congregations, at least they have some fairly decent elders there, they're saying we better tell the parents not to let their children be around this brother. So some congregations are starting to lighten up and actually tell certain ones in the congregation, have children, don't let your children be around brother zealous or whatever. And so they're telling them that. But you know something what ticks me off? That they're not letting the other congregations know. And if the person even moves to another congregation, I rather doubt that the people in that congregation would know. And then you're seeing all of these newspaper articles like the one I just showed you. Let me show you that again. Let me tell you about this guy a little bit. I think I should at least mention him. There he is. There's the newspaper. That was out last Sunday. That was in the Sunday paper. That is a full page spread. The man's name is Martin Hawk. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Martin Hawk. He's a former Jehovah's Witness elder and father of a sexual abuse victim. Martin Hawk, during an interview in the newspaper, told them that his daughter was actually molested in 2016. Was it 2016? I guess it was. And anyways, he didn't go and report it because they only told him, well, that would bring reproach upon Jehovah and it wouldn't be a good thing to do. So, you know, he didn't do it, but later on he did because this abuse kept going on and on. So Martin came forward. He's a real hero. He's really making a difference in Pennsylvania. So the Attorney General listened to him, and because of his commitment to wanting to expose the witnesses, other congregations are also brought forward. But the point I wanted to make with this, that this is just totally, now he was an elder. Now let's just put yourself in this position. So you're an elder, your daughter is being molested, and you know, you report it to the other elders. They say, well, don't report it. It's going to bring reproach upon Jehovah. So you put it off. I'd have a hard time doing that. But Martin, after a while, he said, no, enough is enough. So he went to the authorities. And this is how he got himself. There he is on the front page of that paper. So he got himself on the front page of the paper. Now, don't you think people in that area where Martin lives would see his picture? And don't you think even the witnesses that he was once an elder to, don't you think they'd look and read the article? Of course they would. Geez, why wouldn't they? So I don't know. If you're in Pennsylvania and you're a witness, I'll tell you what, you got to be humiliated. Go ahead, Buffalo, New York. You're on with us. Go ahead.
This is what I was trying to tell you. You know, Pennsylvania is connected to New York. And so don't you not think that the Attorney General of New York sees this? You see what I'm saying? So this is just one small aspect of all the illegal things that the Watchtower organization is doing. And it's doing it within it, you know, where they live, because this is where they make their big bucks. And then they legally transfer money from other countries so they can hide it here in the United States and then develop new corporations to hide it with their taxations. And don't you think that these governing bodies who are supposedly not associated with the organization have money of their own hidden through their family members? I mean, come on. I mean, enough is enough with this organization. This is why, you know, yes, it is important that we focus on, you know, the children, because, you know, I almost got raped when I was a child. So I know I you know, have empathy for these kids. But the problem is, this is just one tip of the iceberg that, you know, so many of a lot of the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses on YouTube have so much information that it will definitely, affect the Watchtower. And it's just getting all that information combined together and submitted it to the Attorney General of New York in their little backyard.
Well, that's good. Maybe you can. Well, maybe you can be the man that does it. Yeah, Chewy, go ahead. Come on in with us. Yep.
I am going to do it.
Well, I'm on your side, brother. I'm on your side. Chewy, go ahead.
And then too, I kind of like that other brother's comment. That I'm tagging on back of.
Yeah.
But if they can connect, as they're asking for donations for that Ramapo thing and all this, and then they say, well, you mean you were asking for donations for the Ramapo and yet you were settling all these child abuse cases? Where'd that money come from?
Well, good question, Chewy. It's a good question.
Yeah. I mean, they could get them on fraud. And that's the same thing as they got Jim and Tammy Baker with. They're using funds to cover up child sex abuse, and they're on the broadcast and saying, give us more money and you'll be a friend of Jesus. Oh, God.
Well, they still haven't started on the project. They're still dragging their feet. So you might have something there. Maybe they are using that as a fundraiser. Send us money for Ramapo and then bail out in time, but keep the money and pay off these suits with it. That's a possibility. I wouldn't doubt it. It is. Well, thank you, Chewy. That makes sense to me. Thank you very much. Always good to hear from Chewy. Oh my goodness. Okay, we do have North Carolina. Go ahead, North Carolina.
It's Sharon in North Carolina. How you doing tonight?
Good.
Okay. I'm speaking to some people that I went to the congregation with when I was growing up. And apparently the ones that were sexually molested, for some reason, their parents are not believing that this is really going on. They're saying that, well, this proves that we're the true religion because of all this persecution we're getting. Meanwhile, they're adults now. These people have told their parents while they were growing up that they were molested by family members and elders. And those are the ones that seem to be the staunch ones that are protecting the Watchtower and will stick by them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't understand it, how they can ignore what their children went through and stick to this organization like it's God's heavenly bread. I just don't get it.
Well, Sharon, don't you worry. A lot of us don't get it, but it's all coming down now. It's all going to come out in the wash. Believe me, it's in the washing machine right now, and the dirt's all coming out. It's all coming out. Yeah.
Good.
Good to hear from you, Sharon. Always good to hear from Sharon from North Carolina. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Rick. I'll hang up now.
All right, good girl. Yeah. All right, so you're on with us. We got 615. Go ahead. You're on with us, 615.
Hey, Rick, it's Eric. How are you?
Eric, I'm doing fantastic.
I just thought I'd share that my wife reminded me there was a guy that got transferred, a brother. Well, he was no brother of mine, but you know what I mean. He got transferred to our Kingdom Hall, and they did kind of tell us, not an announcement, but word of mouth, that the guy is a creeper, a pedophile. And my cousin Matthew was a much younger boy at the time, and every time he would comment, this creepy guy, Ralph Farrow, would turn around with the most creepy face and stare at my cousin. We all noticed it, and we were all creeped out about it. And it was, if a girl gave a comment, he didn't really look at her. But anytime it was a young boy, he was like salivating, and it was disgusting. And what ended up happening was there's a woman and a friend of mine's ex-wife who had him and his wife over for dinner, not knowing, they have a family of 4, not knowing that he was a child molester. And she got freaked out because she was molested when she was a child. And the elders were like, oh, we forgot to tell you. So it's a very lackadaisical system, if there is one even at all.
Well, you're right. It's there's no system. There's no system at all, and I can understand why you got creeped out. But Eric, always good to hear from you. Always good to hear from you.
Thanks, Rick.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Hey, listen, Buffalo, New York. Hold on for a second. Let's let some other people come in here. Okay, we got a lot of people want to call in tonight. So why don't we just? I'm going to bring you back on though. I always appreciate you calling in. But yeah, let's let some other people come on here. And I want them to talk about this Pennsylvania case. I want to get back into that, friends. Pennsylvania, I want to really applaud them. They are really coming forward, and they are really, really, really spilling the beans on the Watchtower. So I'm thinking this is bigger than we think. And we just had King of Dots that came on. King of Dots was saying that, they're saying June, that's it. Armageddon, that's it. It's over. So let's see. I mean, maybe they're saying that in view of what they know might be coming out in Pennsylvania. So only time will tell. Okay, we'll bring you on now, Buffalo. Go ahead. You're on back with us.
I just wanted to tell you that, my brother-in-law, he's an elder. And and my sister, of course, he abuses her. But I keep telling her, tell your husband to stop being an elder because you're going to get sued. And if you get sued, Watchtower is not going to pay your lawyer fees, because I think that when people are treated in an unjust way through this organization, sue the elders and give the bill to the Watchtower, because you can sue anyone for any reason. But these people need to know through your program, who are listening to you, sue your elders if you are being mistreated or your human rights are being taken away. I told her, if your husband doesn't leave as an elder, they're going to take everything you worked for all your life. And you're going to take your house, you're going to take your bank account, you're going to take everything, because you're going to have to pay the lawyer, and then you're going to be out in the street and Watchtower where they're going to be. Much richer than they are. So sue the elders and see what the Watchtower does.
Well, that's true. I mean, right now there is a lot of suits going on. So, well, thank you for encouraging people. And the more suits, the merrier. The more suits, the merrier. Thank you, Buffalo. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. All right. Well, there you go. I mean, we are trying to cover all the news stories tonight. There's so many news stories we got to cover. It's just unbelievable what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. And yeah, we want to talk about some other things too that are going on. Let me see if I can't find the news article that I want to get here. And well, let's see. It's concerning the announcements. We do get information from Atlantis, as we call him, and he gives information concerning things that are happening in the Watchtower organization. And the announcements, you used to go to the Kingdom Hall, and every month they'd read your announcements for the month. Well, we do have some announcements here that I have to read you for the month of May 2023. And these are the announcements that are actually being read to the witnesses in the Kingdom Hall, like we used to sit there and listen to them. But, I'll tell you that this May announcement's very strange and very ominous. Let's go with that. They seem to really be prepping, or the elders are encouraging the congregation to be prepared for a disaster. Is this propaganda? Is this some type of a fear-mongering technique? But they're telling the people in the congregations to make sure that you have all of your arrangements together for your disaster preparedness. They're saying that you want to make sure you have all of your contact information, how they can hunt you down, give you information to someone, even a non-witness, they're saying. Your telephone number, where you might be, so that the congregation elders can kind of track you. So, I mean, this is something I've been noticing right along here for the last couple of years. They're really preparing witnesses to get ready for some type of a big disaster. I mean, could this be what the King of Dots was even referring to tonight? Maybe the witnesses are jumping to the conclusion. Maybe they're really thinking like in June, because it's May now for these announcements. So the elders are just scaring the living daylights out of people, constantly telling you, get your go bags ready, be ready, make sure people know where you are, get your documents in place, all of this stuff. And I mean, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. We don't have the time to do it, but they want the congregation to hear these announcements to make sure you have all your ducks in a row, so to speak, because a disaster is coming. That's so. Is this some way to, am I reading between the lines? Am I reading too much into this? I don't think so. But I know the Watchtower, if I was still a witness and I read about get ready for the disaster and make sure you have all your, I would think something big is going to happen, like maybe Armageddon. I don't know, but I would be a little bit afraid. I think you guys would be too. So, yeah, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. It goes on and on and on. And listen to this. Here's a full page letter. Here's a full page letter to the congregation, information that's saying information to be read to the congregation during the part, are you prepared for an economic crisis? Geez, they're talking about some type of a natural disaster. Now they bring in page 2, are you prepared for an economic crisis? I mean, what are they expecting? Are they expecting, well, maybe in view of some of these banks collapsing in the last month or so, maybe they're trying to prepare people for some type of a economic collapse. In fact, it starts off, as your family considers its disaster preparation plans, please ensure that the congregation secretary has your up-to-date emergency contact information. And this is kind of funny. It says your emergency contact should be someone you are likely to contact in the event of a disaster or other emergency. Additionally, it is preferred that your emergency contact live outside of your immediate area so that he is not likely to be affected by the same disaster or emergency. And then it says the emergency contact does not have to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, that's kind of weird, right? That's kind of weird. I mean, if I gave, first of all, my children that don't speak to me, they're certainly not going to take any information I give them or share with them. I mean, if I was a witness and tried to share, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You understand what I'm talking about, right? So, I mean, that's crazy. But constantly stressing here, be prepared for economic disaster, be prepared for a natural disaster. But this is also interesting. On page 3 of this letter, they're talking about Bethel service. They're looking for more Bethelites. You want to become a Bethelite? You want to become a slave? Well, the organization, they're looking for more. They're looking for more Bethelites. You'd like to join up? They'd love to have you. So they're looking for people between the ages of 19 and 55 years old that have been baptized for at least 1 year, and they want you. They want you to be able to at least put 1 year in, but if your circumstances allow, they want you to serve a longer term. So yeah, they're asking for more people. But the thing I extracted from this letter more than anything is not that Bethelite recruitment. It's the disaster. This is nothing more than fear-mongering. This is to get the witnesses, oh, gee, something's happening here. I better get closer to the organization. That's all I can think of. That's all I can really think of. So I want to share that with you.
Hey, Rick?
Yes.
You remember when 9/11 happened?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they had, when you went to the airport, it was yellow, it was orange, it was red. Well, that's all Watchtower's doing. They're making use of current events. They've got tons of stuff at their disposal. All you got to do is go online. Oh, we're facing a financial crash. Oh, we're doing this. But Rick, what that really is with that red, yellow, and the different levels of heightened security was to make us feel unsafe. And so that somebody protects us. Like, I hope the government protects us. I hope they put things in place so that nobody gets on a plane and something happens, right? What they call this is PSYOPs. SPY-OPTS. PSYOPs. And they're psychological operations, and this is what the sickest part of it is. They're being used on their own freaking people. Because we don't care what Watchtower says, but just think about how low life that is, Rick. Psychological operations, PSYOPs. If people look it up, they would be floored because the witnesses are creating panic and fear, like you said, at unprecedented levels. Get your fishing pole, get your backstab. I saw a video of them running around the Kingdom Hall, and the lights were blinking, and, you know, rant, you know, and everybody was going crazy. Rick, this is psyops used against their own people, psychological operations used against their own people. Did you want to see something, Angela?
Just the spelling Psychop, I think.
Yeah, something like that. But isn't that disgusting, Rick, that they would use psychological operations? This is, you know, they can't fall in love with Jehovah. They got to be under psychological operations to stay in the congregation. What are we going to do, governing body? Protect us, save us. Save us, save us. It's all, listen to us carefully, because we're going to tell you things to do that you may not want to do, but do it anyway. I mean, Rick, they're being set up, man. This is sickening. This is sickening. Anyway, that's it, Rick. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no, it is sickening. And they will use all of these mind control games. It's unbelievable what they're doing to people, Dan. And they've been able to get away with it. They've been able to get away with it up till now.
This should be illegal. I mean, it's just like our government. You know, they say they're no part of the government, but it's exactly what the government said. I won't go there, but, you know, it's sickening, Rick, that they would, I just think, my God, uses psych, and it was used on us, just not at the level they're using it now. This is what I would classify psyops. This is panic and fear and schizophrenia. I mean, they're putting this out in the Kingdom Hall so that the people shut off their executive decision part of their brain, and all they want to do is say, what do we need to do? Rick, they're being put in a position, like you said, something big is happening, because they're at the point, what do we do? Pay attention and follow orders. So it's a huge psyop, man.
Well, I tell you, no, Dan, I like your passion. I love your passion. I love Angela's passion. You guys really go at it, and you have reason to. You have reason to go at it. And, you know, it's, I wouldn't put anything past them, but they've been able to get away with this up till now. And now you're talking about it. People are talking about it. Governments are beginning to talk about it. So the Calvary is showing up. It's beautiful. It's wonderful.
You know, it's beautiful. We have language now to describe it. Before we didn't have the language, and now we have all the language. But, you know, Rick, part of the reason I'm doing this, Angela's doing this, we have family still in the cult. I still have family in there. It's really sad to see. My brother, as you guys know, and thank you, you know, he died about a month back. And it was sad because he died alone. He was no use to the organization. He went into a little home. And anyway, he died. And so, you know, I've got one other brother in there still, my oldest brother. And he did talk to me at the funeral. And they did have me on the meeting. So I'm really hoping maybe one more will come out before one more has to die in there. Because so far, they've got my dad, they've got my mother, they've got my brother Phil, and you know, I just wish maybe one more will come out of there. They don't have to die in this organization and wait for the world to end. You know. Yeah, and Paul's been on here. My brother Paul's been on your show. He may be listening tonight. He's my youngest brother, and he's out, and he's physically out and mentally out. And his daughters are doing great. They went and got educations. They got great jobs, and they're just, you know, living a normal life. So that life's waiting for anybody who's ready to come out of there. You know, God's ready to restore us and take us from glory to greater glory. And I'm living proof, and you are, Rick, and Anne-Marie and Constance, and, you know, all the people that are out there that chime into this show, Chewy, everybody. Thanks, Rick.
Well, you're very welcome, Dan. Now, I want you and Angela to get your barf bags ready. I want all of the people listening into the program today to get ready for something totally sickening. This I came across this week. I'm going to play it for you. It's a video. It's a video that's on jw.org. And it's kind of convincing. In fact, it's not kind of, it is. It's convincing kids to get to the conventions and how exciting it is to go to a Jehovah's Witness convention. I want you to listen to the video. If you're on YouTube and Facebook, you'll see it. But listen in if you're on a radio network. But make sure that you're ready to, you know, have something to throw up in, because I'll tell you what, it was nauseating to me, because this is total control over your children if they're still in the Watchtower. Listen to the video. I think you'll find it Very, very fascinating. Let's share it right now. And I want you to hear it. You're going to say, you have got to be kidding me. Let me just get this pumped up here so we can see it. And let me just make sure I got the screen so it's right in the right place. Here's the video. Listen in. You'll think it's crazy, I know. Let's listen in and see what it says.
Another year has gone by. Are you ready? 'Cause it's convention time. I've got my bag, love in my heart. Can't wait to be there before the music starts. It's convention time. Together in Jehovah's house, there's no better place to be. Together in Jehovah's house with my worldwide family. We could be friends, don't you agree? Why don't you take a seat right next to me? We're taking notes, and singing songs. We have the same hope, that's why we get along. It's convention time. Together in Jehovah's house, there's no better place to be. Together in Jehovah's house with our worldwide family. Together in Jehovah's house, there's no better place to be. And we can play a part in filling every heart in this worldwide family.
Well, there you have it. I want to play that for you tonight. I think you guys might have enjoyed that. That is actually a video put up by the Watchtower trying to make it sound very exciting for kids to go to the convention.
Brady Bunch. Yeah, sounds like the Brady Bunch.
Well, Angela, I'll tell you what. I'm glad you guys were put on notice. I had to let people at least know to get ready for something like that because that is just totally disgusting. It really, really is. I mean, stop and think about it. I think these are some of the worst lyrics I've ever heard in any song. When you stop and think about it, this song is nothing more than propaganda. It's a way to get the parents and trying to get kids to get to the conventions. It's just nutty stuff going on. It's so blatantly noticeable that they're trying to get more little kids to appreciate the conventions. You got to get them when they're little. It's shameless on the part of the Watchtower. I mean, can you just imagine the most exciting place they're saying in the lyrics, the most exciting place ever for a kid is to go to a Jehovah's Witness convention? I mean, let's get real. I mean, what is there at a convention for a kid to get excited about? Hey, kids, let's have fun. We can sit in plastic chairs and watch bald guys speak for 8 hours, and then we clean. And don't forget your ice cream money. I mean, what's so fun about this for a kid? I mean, stop and think about it. So I thought that's kind of crazy. Go ahead. We do have 203. What do you want to say, 203?
Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Carrie. You know, I got a big kick out of that little video. The part where if you notice that they showed many shots with there were empty seats. There was only one little place where they showed them filled up, but I thought that was funny when I saw all those empty seats. I mean, why would they Why would they make a video like that showing so many empty seats? It's crazy.
It is crazy, Carrie. Well, I mean, they're trying to do everything they can. And right, I'm aware of that too. Why don't they have those seats filled? That doesn't make sense to me, you know?
What do you usually say? They're telling, how does that go? I can't remember.
Well, what it is what the cults do is they tell you before they tell you. And then they tell you while they're telling you. And then they tell you what they told you.
I love it. That's great. I have to write all that down. My memory is kind of crappy.
Yeah. Well, always good to hear from you, Carrie, but I thought that people would get a kick out of that. I mean, that's nuts.
That's the first thing I noticed, though, Rick. I thought that was quite comical. Nobody else would get it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Carrie. Always good to hear from Carrie. My goodness, good. Thank you. All right. It looks like 540. I know who that is. Go ahead, 540.
Hi. I just wanted to say hi to you and Carrie. The art department has never failed me. They tell the truth in pictures when the text is lying to me. And if you go back, and that animation is equal opportunity awkward. They made those kids look so awkward, and then at the end they make the audience look so awkward. It's like they're making fun of themselves in their own convention.
I thought the same thing, Pixie. I thought the same thing. It just doesn't resonate any real strength. It's a weak video, really.
Because the little song is wonderful, and they always have terrific cartoonists and terrific artists, but they painted those children. It's nice that we have children from different cultures being friends. That's a 5-star wonderful. But they made them both look so awkward. They made the parents look awkward. And then when they have the real photo at the end, everybody looks geeky. So they didn't present the children like these are beautiful, obedient, good witness kids.
Yeah, no, it was odd. It's very, very odd. The only, basically looking at it online and people commenting about it, what the Watchtower is faced with right now is so many children going to the conventions, but what they do is they fall asleep. My kids used to do the same thing. So they want to keep them awake, make it sound exciting,
Well, children get excited about going to the corner store and getting an ice cream or something.
Or a candy
Children
bar.
can get excited about a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Pixie.
Interesting, though. Interesting point. And the government has pamphlets to get prepared too. Most of you probably don't know that the Sharpie in your kit is to put your Social Security number on your arm so they can identify you after you're gone.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Dark but true.
Well, I know. Thank you, Pixie.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hello, Rick.
Hello, Fran. You're on with us, Fran. Go ahead.
Hi. I don't know. They went through it so quick, but Wally just did a really good video on that same the video. And he brought out, if you kind of zoom in when the kids are showing their picture that they drew, the picture is of destruction. It shows some bird coming down and pecking on someone's head. And on the bottom, it's just showing a whole bunch of destruction. They go through it really fast, but Wally, if you go to Wally's video, he did a really good review of that, and he really keyed in on the picture that the kids drew.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah, in fact, we had Wally on here earlier tonight. I think he might still be on. Wally, I'll check that out. I haven't had a chance to check it. Well, thank you, Fran, for bringing that to our attention. Appreciate that. You doing all right out there?
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we're doing good. Thank you.
All right, good. That's Fran and Joe. My goodness, always good to hear from them. Okay, we got Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix, Arizona, you're on with us.
Yeah, is that me?
That's you.
Oh, okay. You know what I remember going to, what it was like when I was about that age of those kids in that cartoon, I was going to Candlestick Park from morning till night, sitting in the blazing sun in the daytime and freezing at night, and in a little suit and dress shoes, which is really uncomfortable. It was pure torture, and those conventions were 7 days, all week long. Man, it was terrible. And they turn it into this, you know?
Oh, yeah, no, they were terrible. But now they're making it look like it's a fun time to be at a convention. Not so. Well, thank you, Arizona. Always good to hear from you. Thank you very much for coming in tonight. Boy, I'll tell you what, we got a lot of people coming through here tonight on the 6 screens. We appreciate all you folks that are calling in. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming in and being with us. Yeah, we've got, you want to stay with us. We still got about 15 minutes left on this program, but coming up afterwards, we have got a man coming on. We have the conference call. It'll be a different program. The 6 Screens conference call coming up after this program. And we have a man, his name is Donald Brown. Donald Brown is writing a book, and he sent me the book. I've been critiquing it, and I have to tell you, he knows what he's talking about. It's unbelievable. Some of the things Donald is telling us about the Jehovah's Witnesses, some of the similarities between Jehovah's Witnesses and communist North Korea. So he's coming on tonight. He's going to be on just in about 15 minutes. You don't want to miss that program. It'll be on YouTube and Facebook as well as our radio network. So we're looking forward to Donald coming on. Yeah, so we're getting away here tonight with a lot of the stories. I'm glad sometimes we don't get to tell all the stories, but I got wondering, because I haven't been to really a meeting, a Jehovah's Witness meeting, since 2005. That's the year that Satan kicked me out of his organization. So that's the year I was just fellowshipped. So I'm really beginning to see that the mental state of the average PME, that is a person who is a Jehovah's Witness, who's physically in and mentally in, I'm really beginning to see that the average mental state of a Jehovah's Witness these days is very unstable. It's not healthy. I mean, I always knew, even when I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, that the Jehovah's Witnesses were considered strange people. I mean, not all, but most Jehovah's Witnesses that I knew were somewhat strange. I mean, if an average person evaluated a Jehovah's Witness back then as even now, they'd say, wow, those people are really strange. But I think over the years, even since 2005, I think the years of grinding paranoia from the Watchtower has really started taking its toll on many Jehovah's Witnesses. Yes, it does. It seems like many of them are now burnt out witnesses. Really, they don't seem to be happy. They don't seem to be having any good feelings in life. They're focused. Their main focus is on Armageddon coming. The word I would use, if it's even a real word, I don't know, but zombified. Yeah, the Jehovah's Witnesses, I believe, are zombified. They're walking around like the Walking Dead. I mean, the meetings are so boring and they're so basic, and they're prepared really for 5-year-olds. No deep discussions, just some scriptured basic talks and videos. That's about it. Today's Jehovah's Witnesses, in my estimation, are burnt out shells of human beings. Absolutely zero critical thinking skills. They're uneducated for the most part, and they're paranoid. And I'll tell you what, they're still dressing and acting like it's in the 1950s. They're dumbed down. They're dumbed down a lot. Their literature is at submoronic levels, grade 5 levels. Hold on, Arizona. I got to mute you, okay? Just your phone's making a lot of noise in the background here. They're actually at grade level 5 mentality. So you say, well, what is a grade level 5 mentality? Well, when you're in the 5th grade, you're about 11 years old. Now, what is unique about an 11-year-old person? Well, you're just kind of like in the middle between a kid and you're starting to grow up now. You don't know if Santa Claus is real, the Easter Bunny's real. You're still kind of juggling that back and forth. Well, that's where the Watchtower's basic mentality is right now, the people left in it. Now, I'm not going to say all, but a good amount of Jehovah's Witnesses are a grade level 5 mentality. They're thinking like an 11-year-old person. And the sad part about it, they give total, complete loyalty and obedience to the governing body. That is the paramount issue in their life. That is destructive and disturbing. They don't even know these governing body people. They think they're all God's channel on earth. These people are laughing all the way to the bank. They're giving total devotion and every red cent they have to these men, and they're doing nothing but getting them deeper into the cult. Yeah, and my observation when I went and protested at the Kingdom Hall just this year, back in April, I have to tell you, a good majority of the people I saw going into the Kingdom Hall, they were all aging. Yeah, they were all aging. Many of them were older folks, and a lot of single elderly sisters and fewer young families. So they have an aging organization with a grade 5 level mentality. Really, the Jehovah's Witnesses right now mentally are unstable, I should say. So what do you guys think? Do you think the Watchtower Jehovah's Witness people are smarter and more astute and on the ball today than they were 20 years ago? I'd like to get your thoughts on it. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I think your word described it perfectly, zombified. I watched these guys at my funeral, and they were like zombies. I mean, how many fire drills can you run, Rick? They've been running fire drills since the 50s. I mean, I was 59, but since 70, 75, they've been running these fire drills. And it's like, how many can you run before you say, oh, the alarm went off again? You get desensitized, and they can't have an education. Even the video they put together, Rick, they said they were going to do a 1-minute promotional video from a brother. It was ridiculous. It was not good quality. It was like some guy on a string with a puppet string pulling a man up and down out of heaven. And it was some ridiculous commercial they were playing, and they all set up real straight, and they all looked real proud, like we're going to play one of the videos from the organization. And me and Angela looked at each other, and we go, oh, my God, look at this. This is nuts. It really feels nutty, Rick, and it really feels bad. And I would say, to go along with you, Rick, their age has been stunted. My age was stunted too. I couldn't even use my brain for several years when I got out of there. I wasn't used to thinking. What does Watchtower say? We better ask the elders. What does the society say? What does the aid book say? What does the Watchtower say? We were completely cut off from thinking and using our brain. So what we're watching, Rick, out there is just people robotic. We're just watching people go through the motion and hope something happens. That's it, Rick.
Well, you always have good comments, Dan. They love you on Facebook. They love you we're on a number of different platforms.
I love them too.
Hi, Dan loves you. Dan loves you all out there. Whether you're listening on 10 different platforms right now, all over the place, Twitter and you name it, we're there. So they all love you, Dan. Well, thank you very much, Dan. We always appreciate you coming on and giving your thoughts. So we have 614. Go ahead, 614. You're on with us. Uh, 614. You're on with us, Michael.
Hey, how you doing, Rick?
Good. Doing good, Mike.
Sorry for the disconnection there. But anyway, I heard your comment. What do you think about how witnesses are now as opposed to way back then? If they're smarter or dumber? I think that was what your comment was. But what I notice now is that they can't defend their faith now. That's what I noticed. They can't defend it with the Bible. And that I believe that's the reason why they say no debates. We don't debate because they can't win a debate. The witnesses come to my door. One of the things I ask them, they always talk about the kingdom, the kingdom, and I asked them a question. Ma'am, I said, how do you get into that kingdom? I want to get into that kingdom. How do you get into it? Well, we have to study and we have to do this. And I said, that's not the answer, ma'am. Let me show you a few scriptures. Because I know how you can get into that kingdom, and I don't want you to leave my porch until you know. Well, she said, "Oh, we don't debate. We don't debate." I said, "I'm not debating with you. My concern is for your soul, and that's why I'm going to share these 3 scriptures with you." And I tell them the 3 scriptures before they leave. I mean, they walk out, but at least they hear a message. But they can't defend their faith. I even asked a couple to come on my radio show and tell me about the thing. No, we don't do that. We don't do that, they said. Have you ever asked a regular Jehovah's Witness to come on your show?
I never asked a card-carrying witness. I've had PMO. I mean, people that were kind of physically and mentally out, but never. Well, no, I have to take that back. I have had some on that were full-fledged card-carrying witnesses. Yes, not many in the 17 years. I've had about 2, probably. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I got so that they won't even come on my show anymore.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's sad.
I was amazed by that.
Yeah. Well, Mike, it's good to hear from you. Always good to hear from you. I wish we had a little more time to discuss some more things. I want you to stay in with us. We got a program coming up here right after this. It's 6 Screens of the Watchtower conference call. I think you'll find it fascinating.
Okay. Well, nice talking to you again, Rick.
Well, always good to talk to you, Mike. Thank you very, very much. We got time. We got one more caller. We're going to go to 409. 409, go ahead.
Hi, Donald here.
Yes, Donald. Okay, Donald. So we're looking forward to you coming on here. So you just hang in with us. You're coming on here in just about 5 or 10 minutes, okay?
All right.
All right, you hang in with us. That's our author coming on the 6 Screens of the Watchtower conference call. We're going to close this call out here very shortly, and then we're going to go to our new program. We're going to bring Donald in. He's got a lot to talk about tonight. Go ahead. We got Northern Michigan. Go ahead, 906.
Yeah, Rick.
Yes.
Just a brief comment here before I say good night. Regarding the Watchtower Society, their literature used to have some articles in there with interest. You were able to usually talk to them a lot of times in the past with some intelligent discussions, and so forth. And they were, you could find a lot of people that's, had a lot of intelligence, say back in the 50s and 60s, 70s and 80s. Right now they're dumbed down so bad that it's even pathetic and all that. It's like the individuals have been saying that they're so dumbed down that they're zombified and so forth. So if you take their Watchtower Society, you take their Watchtowers or their wakes, whatever it is, it's not even worth looking at and so forth compared to years ago. So I'll say good night to everybody, and we'll just keep listening. God bless and be with you all, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Well, thank you, Dan. Did you want to say something, Donald?
Yeah, I was going to say to him, if you remember the Watchtower, they're rehashing their older content now. From what I've heard and from what I've seen, yeah. If you remember the Watchtower,
you're gonna what you're gonna have to do, Donald. You're gonna have to shut your YouTube off because it's gonna get echoing. You'll have to shut that off. Yeah.
Oh, I don't have YouTube on.
You don't? Okay. Well, it might have been somebody else. Okay. Well, you hang in there, Donald. We're gonna end this program. Then we're gonna start the new program that I'm bringing you on. So I want to thank everyone for coming in tonight to JW World News, and now you're pretty much up to date on what's going on behind the curtains. But I did want to make a couple of announcements. We do a 6 Screen Sunday. And, I'd like to get more people coming in on Sunday. You want to join us tomorrow? We start at 1 o'clock. Now, on Sundays, we get into theological matters. Now, don't run for the mountains because you hear theological matters. The Watchtower is a religion. And, we also have to discuss at times their position on theology. And that's what we discuss on Sunday. So if you're into that, why don't you join us tomorrow beginning at 1 o'clock? And we talk about these things. And then at 2 o'clock, Anne Marie's coming on, and she has a program called Ex-Jehovah's Witnesses Share Their Christian Testimony. And, that program's a wonderful program. It's people who have been involved with the witnesses and became Christians. You want to hear that program. It's great. And then, of course, we do JW World News at 3. And then we have a program called The Christian Court. That's on at 4 o'clock. Man, I'm telling you, we have 2 Bible scholars, Jay Hess, New Testament scholar, as well as a man named Egal German. He is with the Moody Bible School, and he teaches there as well, I believe, and he wants to come on tomorrow. He's going to be on with us tomorrow, so we're looking forward to the program. Join us at 4 for the Christian Court, because there's a lot of Christians that differ in opinion. We're gonna talk about some of these differences some Christians have. Non-salvation points, but just difference among Christians. That's tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And then Jay comes on, Jay Hess. He answers your Bible questions. Any question you have, come on tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Jay Hess answering Bible questions. All right. I just want to let you know that we appreciate you guys coming in tonight. If you like what you see here tonight, if you like our program and you like to hear the people calling in, why don't you do this? Why don't you like the program on Facebook? Why don't you share it? And I want to thank all the people that do that. And why don't you subscribe on YouTube and like it? And, we're not in any way asking you for money or anything. The only thing I ask you for here is, why don't you subscribe to the channel, and we can get this out and talk to more people that have been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower. Well, thank you very much for coming in tonight. And you guys all keep standing tall. Don't you ever give in, up or out. Keep waving that flag of victory. And the last one leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. We're going to our program. It's in the other studio, and it's a great program. It's going to be called the 6 Screens of the Watchtower Conference Call. Join us there. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Thank you for coming in here